and welcome to ECCB Connects, a production of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank designed to share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. This May, we are recognizing International Internal Audit Awareness Month, a time to highlight the important role internal audit plays in strengthening governance, managing risk, and supporting accountability across organizations. On this episode, we're joined by the ECCB's Acting Director of Audit to talk about what internal audit is really about and why it matters. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Are you connected? Have you liked the ECCB Connects Facebook page and subscribed to the YouTube channel? It's quick and easy. Next time you go check in for the latest scoop on Facebook, just search for ECCB Connects and hit like. While you're at it, check us out on YouTube. Search for ECCB Connects and hit subscribe. And just like that, you're connected. But don't keep it all to yourself. Invite your relatives, friends, associates, and even your Facebook stalkers to get connected too. Hey, you're not on Facebook? No problem. Send us a WhatsApp message to 662-2561 and we'll connect you to our broadcast list. So come on, get connected.
Thank you for staying connected with us. We're joined by the Acting Director of the Internal Audit Department here at the ECCB, Alamina Trotman. Alamina, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me, Shanna.
Let's start with the basics, because for many people, the term internal audit may seem a little bit abstract. So in simple terms, what do internal auditors do?
So internal audit as a profession, we look at a department's processes, we look at your operations, and we determine whether you are efficient, effective, whether there are gaps in your controls, whether you actually poised to meet any strategic objectives or strategic goals that you may have as a department or a wider organization.
And what are some of the key skills or qualities that someone would need to be an internal auditor?
From my experience working in internal audit, some of the key things I think that are required to be a successful internal auditor are communication, I'll say for one, because we communicate a lot in what we do, both verbally and in writing. After the completion of our audit engagement, we have to communicate in writing what our findings are, and we have to be able to convince you that something needs to be fixed as well, wherever we've identified it, or if something is working really well, we need to communicate that to upper management as well. Another skill I will identify is that of analytics, and I know analytics means so many different things to so many different professions, but in internal audit is the ability to actually look at information, assess it against what you expect to see, and determine whether you have any gaps, whether anything is missing in there, and then to determine to what extent the organization has to fix it, whether it's in terms of the risk, whether it's high, whether it's medium. So I think that's really important as well. I think teamwork is really important as well, and I know it kind of ties into communication, but maybe not so much. Teamwork, because the reality is that single-handedly as an internal auditor, you cannot do much. But whether it's within your internal audit department or within the wider organization, you should be able to collaborate and work with other persons in order to achieve the organization's objectives.
Now, for some viewers, the word audit comes up only when something has gone wrong. What is happening behind the scenes, like on a day-to-day, to ensure that an organization like the ECCB runs smoothly?
So we're looking at processes, we're speaking to people, we're examining emerging risk. We do quite a bit behind the scenes to ensure that the ECCB or your organization is operating as it should, that you have adequate structures in place, governance structures, adequate controls, that you have your eye on the mark in terms of your strategic plan. For example, do you have enough resources to actually accomplish your strategic objectives as an organization? So we're behind the scenes working on all of those things and examining it and working with departments to see where we can better aid them in meeting their mandates.
So would you say that most of your work is preventative rather than reactive?
Yes, much of our work is really preventative, and we're looking at, so when we go into a department, we're looking at what is best practice, what is out there, how can we really add to what we're doing, right? Aside from just the day-to-day compliance checks.
Alamina, there is also a common perception that auditors are simply accountants. How has that role evolved over time?
That role has indeed evolved, as you said, and we do so much more than just checking numbers or looking at the finances. We look at operations, we look at the effectiveness of the organization, the efficiencies. Are we meeting our KPIs? Are we on target to meet those strategic initiatives like we have for the big push? So all of those are things that we're looking at on a day-to-day basis. Aside from just checking the numbers, another initiative that we have piloted just recently, it's a business process improvement program where we go into the departments, we look at processes from end to end, and we determine how can we streamline that, how can we make it more efficient. So we're working with the business. It's not really an audit engagement, but it's what we call an advisory service where we work with the business to streamline, to cut, to ensure that it is effective and it's actually meeting the targets that are required of the function.
Help us to understand the difference between the external auditors who would come to the department like once a year compared to the internal auditors who work in an organization all year round.
So external auditors are focused on the financial statement. So they come in once a year, as you said, and they determine whether your finances are fairly and accurately presented. Our scope is so much broader than that. So that's a key difference. So as I've mentioned before, we look at strategic objectives. We determine, is the organization on target to meet its objectives? We assess efficiencies and effectiveness across the organization. We work with the departments. So we don't just come in once a year. We are living, breathing, working with you within the organization. If external audit is your annual physical, for example, internal audit is your wellness program that ensures that you are fit and healthy every single day of the year.
How do internal auditors maintain objectivity and deliver unbiased assessments while working for the organization that they are auditing?
The fundamental basics to ensure the independence of your internal audit function is your reporting line. So who do you report to as an internal audit? Here at the ECCB, we have a direct reporting line to the Board Audit and Risk Committee. So they approve our work program, they approve our strategic plan as an internal audit function. We also have a reporting line to the governor, so to ensure that we are adequately resourced, and he's aware of everything that goes to the audit committee. But that reporting line to the Board Audit and Risk Committee enables us to report fairly, unbiasedly, and follow the evidence. So that is what cinches our independence as a function. However, we need to bear in mind that even if we're independent, we're still part of the organization. We still have to work with management. We still have to work with other departments to ensure that the organization is actually meeting its objectives and its mandate. So that independence does not translate into isolation as an internal audit function. And so we have to learn to toggle that line between the two.
Alamina, there is also a sort of a reputation attached to auditors. Like when they enter a room, you know, everything goes silent. Like people think the police has arrived on the scene. How do you work to change this perception from one of where you are seen like this to where you're actually collaborating to improve processes?
If every time internal audit comes into your department, they're fault finding or they're pointing out areas where you have failed, even though you've tried your best, where you have failed, it is human nature that you're going to be reserved, you're going to be tight-lipped when internal audit shows up. I have news that the profession has evolved since then and is still evolving. And we at the ECCB, we are keeping up with that evolution across the profession. So some of the things that the profession has changed or more focus has been placed is on strategic partnerships and strategic relationship building. We have implemented a stakeholder engagement program where we're actively meeting with departments and we're seeing what their priorities are, what are their concerns, what keeps them up at night, and we're seeing how we can assist and how we can partner with them. And through that strategic building, that strategic relationship building, we are changing that perception or that cultural perception of internal audit as police. And we are shifting it, and our goal is so that we are seen as strategic partners here to help the organization, because we both work for the same organization with the same goals, with the same big push for our strategic plan.
Now, let's turn our focus to International Audit Month. It's being observed this May. What's the focus of the ECCB this year, and what are some of the things that we'll be seeing come this month?
Indeed, May is International Internal Audit Awareness Month. And we celebrate every year as internal auditors within the ECCB. And this year our theme is built on standards, driven by innovation, focused on impact. And this really underscores our commitment to ensuring that the work that we do are built on the global internal audit standards, and that we're actually using innovative technologies and methodologies in the work that we're doing. But also, and more importantly, that we're making an impact, both internally at the ECCB and even wider as it pertains to our members of the ECCU. Whether it is that we're formulating recommendations to decrease risk, or whether it is that we are streamlining processes, or whether we are tightening controls, or whether we're seeing whether programs are having the impact that it needs to have across the ECCU. Some of the initiatives that we have planned include, we have an open day planned, where participants are going to journey through an audit cycle from planning to reporting, and they'll understand what we do and how we use the tools that we have in order to come to conclusions concerning audit engagements. We'll also have a little fun where we will be having a treasure hunt on campus, where participants will follow clues and be an auditor for a day or a couple of hours in a fun and interactive environment. Thirdly, we will also be doing a couple of engagements at some schools across the region, so that we are informing students that internal auditing as a career exists. Because the reality is, in the Caribbean region, well, I do not know if you've met any, maybe you have, I haven't met anybody who has, as a child who said, no, I want to be an internal auditor. So we want to shed light on the profession and allow students to understand that it is a viable career option, and it is extremely rewarding as a career.
Some very exciting initiative. I'm looking forward to that one, to being an auditor for the day.
Oh, come along. Come.
And finally, how can persons within the organization better support the internal auditors?
So it's important that every person in the organization works together. Every group, as I mentioned before, works together to ensure that the organization has an adequate system of governance, internal controls, and risk management. As internal auditors, we cannot do it alone. We have to partner with you.
Alamina, thank you so much for sharing those insights with us and helping us to better understand the critical role that internal audit plays in the successful functioning of an organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shanna.
And now for this week's financial tip.
Develop the habit of saving by setting aside small amounts regularly. Any savings, no matter how small, adds up. $1 a day yields $365 a year.
We've come to the end of this week's episode of ECCB Connects. As we observe International Internal Audit Awareness Month this May, it's clear that internal audit is not just about oversight. It's about strengthening systems, building trust, and supporting better outcomes for everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we invite you to connect with us again next week, when we will be back with another episode as we continue to share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you.